You said something in there which I think is, when you think of the typical, movie addict, and again, doesn't matter what the drug of choice is, gambling, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever, you think of this low life who's down on their luck and whatnot. And I think you kind of hinted at it that, success can mask a lot of those problems. You look at somebody that's crushing it in their business industry. They're part of this men's group that's bringing in tens of millions of dollars in investment, and they're down to 17% body fat because they're fucking running triathlons on the weekend. The last thing that you would think about is like, ooh, that dude's got some fucked up shit in his head, just like the rest of us, and he's an addict. He's struggling with this thing. So I imagine for you, whatever your rock bottom is, where you finally reached out for help, that success of owning a landscaping, company in your teenage years, making it through Penn State, building these businesses, like that success masks a lot of problems.
Sure does. People telling you, yeah, you'll be a millionaire. I'll be a millionaire. Like this, the other reason, there's a book. It's called The Gap and the Gain. Dan Sullivan.
Yeah.
And then I listened to him on an interview that was done by Front Row Dads. And somebody, or at some point, they brought up what's going on with suicide in high schools. It's not the C student that's ending their life. It's not the one that's just going through. It's not the proverbial normals. These are the ones that are that I don't want to minimize what's going on at all, and I'm not. But it just struck me when he said, like, these are the ones that you think would not do that.
Right. These are the A student star quarterbacks, Instagram following, destined for USC football. They're the ones that are killing themselves because the stress is just overwhelming at that age.
And they're measuring themselves against the ideal, which is what the book teaches. Stop measuring yourself against the ideal. There's a time and a place for that. Measure yourself against the gains that you've made. And that's what happened. I had it. It's like I had 3,000 units. We were, I'm making more money than I used. Like, I'm paying, my tax bill is what my average friend's making at that point. And I'm like, but I don't feel any different. That, like, I'm still me. I'm still the soul, the Atman, the observer of the voice, the observer of the body, the observer of the emotions. But I didn't have any of that knowledge that now I have. Yeah. So I can be more at peace. I can show up better. I have a lot more energy because that's what we are. We're like batteries. I can relate to many of the world's religions, and be on different levels with different people. So that struck me also. So your podcast mentioning about these, rest in peace to these. I've lost many myself, many friends. And then I heard about these high school students, and like, man, it's really sad. Like, on this plane, for a lot of people, mind is more powerful than God.
Yeah. I wonder if in some ways, you talk about the star student who has it all together, or I mentioned the businessman. I wonder, almost like this is going to sound chauvinistic or something, but the curse of the alpha male. Like, how much harder is it to ask for help and face that stigma of being an addict when you do have shit together in all these other areas, right? Because I imagine there was a bunch of self-talk and fear of like, I'm going to go ask for help, and my wife, my friends, the counselor is going to be like, dude, Rob, what's the big deal? You're managing this office. You've got your shit together here. You're running triathlons, or you're doing whatever with your health. Like, what the fuck do you mean you need help with this addiction thing? Like it's almost being successful in all these other areas is self-sabotaging for us as men to be able to ask for help in the areas where we suck.
The first step of any 12 steps is surrender. This is not what I was taught in school. This was not Think and Grow Rich. This was not Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What do you mean surrender? What do you mean surrender to win? The landscaping business was started from surrender to win. Like, vendors aren't calling us back. Grass starting to grow. Couldn't get permits done. Like, construction stopped. Was not deemed essential. But then I'm driving up my driveway, and my landscaping guys are taking care of my lawn in the neighbor's yard, and he pulls out a bag of cash, and he's like, this is amazing. my phone's ringing off the hook.
Amazing.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. We will do this. The idea had been ruminating. So that's the thing. It's like, that's what I really enjoy learning about. And that's why I like the book, The Untethered Soul. But really what I would recommend is starting with the Surrender Experiment, because it goes through Mickey's first realization that, what is this voice in my head? Then he tries to like meditate off the voice in his head. And he tries all these things and get away from people and go down to Mexico. He tried some drugs, right? And then he stopped them. Because that's what's tricky, right? I would like to get high. I wish I could. Socially, I can't. I do a lot of people I know will do it. A lot of people will have a drink. For me, it just doesn't work well with my body, and I don't need it to have the energy that I want to feel. I need to be disciplined in other areas. But it justified it for me when like these yogis aren't doing it. I thought all these yogis did it.
Right.
Like I thought it was like this medical thing. And look, for some people, and they want to do like the DMT, the ayahuasca, they want to go down to Brazil. Hey, good. Hey man, if that works for you, the plant medicine stuff works for you, awesome.
Right.
For me, it's a simple program. It starts with surrendering. It starts that I don't know everything. I need help. And I'm gonna ask for help. And I'm going to turn my will and my life over to the care of a higher power. That is not what was taught to me. I don't blame the school districts. I don't blame my parents. I don't blame anything. It's just not the norm of where we are. But when I look at the norm of where we are, I don't see really a lot of parts of society, or when I start to talk to people, how's things going? And that's what these masterminds, I'm in 4 different mastermind groups. I actually get to know people, and I get to see what they're going through. And you start to get to know them on a deeper level. And anything on the outside is not going to give you peace on the inside. But when you have the peace on the inside, that outside world is pretty fun.
You know, talking about the peace on the inside, before we started recording, we were talking about the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Amazing book. And I know he's got a bunch of precursors and follow-ups. That's kind of like one of his seminal works right in the middle of his authorship. I love that book. And my biggest takeaway from that is that voice in your head. I can't remember exactly how he describes it, but it effectively being a roommate you hate and a roommate that you don't really respect and is just constantly criticizing you. And it's probably a throwaway line in the book, but he effectively says, would you ever give that much credence to just some, my words, not his, asshole roommate who's just living there, just like hammering you nonstop? Eventually you would just tune them out. And sometimes that's what we got to do to the voices in our head. Sometimes it can be very valuable to listen to those voices, but that idea of disconnecting, and I can't remember the terminology he uses, but the disconnecting from that voice that's just constantly shitting on us. It's such a powerful book, and we were talking about it, so I'm interested in your takeaways from Michael Singer's work, and you mentioned his book, Surrender, I think it's called. What are some of your takeaways from The Untethered Soul and other works by Michael Singer?
The reverence that I have for this man is pretty deep. I had the opportunity to go down to his temple, and once things open back up, really, you can go down there. It's called the Temple of the Universe in Alachua, Florida. So for me, the 12 steps are an operating system for life. The Untethered Soul supports it 100%. So you could have that as your own operating system for life. The roots of these things are really in the yogis. He says he's a Jewish yogi who loves Christ. And
not a contradiction at all, by the way.
Yeah. And that's been really great for me, because with my religious background, Roman Catholic, a lot of the things I didn't agree with in school, I would get in trouble for asking questions. And he's brought, there's an amazing book called Wisdom Jesus, which retranslates the Beatitudes. What does it mean to be blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth? What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that the poor, the physical poor, it doesn't mean don't live with abundance. What it means is the meek means those that aren't letting the egoic mind run the show. Those meek. There's a parable where this overzealous student goes to the Zen master, and says, I listen, I studied this, and I've been to those Himalayas, and that was my master, and this is my guru. And the Zen master just starts pouring tea into his cup, and then the cup starts to overflow. And the student doesn't realize it because he's not really present to it. He's just saying what he knows and what he's learned. And then the student realizes, oh, master, your cup's overflowing. Stop pouring out. He says, no, you stop. Your cup is full. What could I possibly teach you? That's blessed in the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the poor in spirit.